The series begins with an astronaut named Ryan as she prepares for her first mission on the space shuttle that's set to orbit the moon. Ryan says goodbye to her family, which includes her husband Carter and their teenage kids, Alex and Hayley. Hayley reassures her mom that she'll look after her brother Alex until she returns. The family then takes a group photo before Ryan walks away. When launch time arrives, Ryan's family gathers with their friends in front of the TV to watch the live broadcast covering the event from the very start. But as soon as the shuttle lifts off, something unexpected happens. The shuttle explodes and Ryan dies. Her family is devastated as they watch the horrifying explosion unfold, grieving deeply for her loss. 8 months later, Hayley has managed to move forward with her life. One day, she's in her room with her friends, Mar and Owen. Meanwhile, Alex spends most of his time practicing basketball because he wants to get into a prestigious school called Greenhouse Academy, which is known for shaping influential leaders around the world. And it's also the school their mother Ryan once attended. During a heated moment, Alex accidentally hits Hayley's music player with his basketball. As the two argue, their father Carter witnesses everything, but doesn't step in. It's clear he's still struggling with Ryan's death, so much so that he's short-tempered and lashes out at his kids before storming off. The next day, Alex gets ready for his entrance exams at Greenhouse Academy, only to be upset when he realizes Carter still isn't prepared to drive him there. Hayley notices that their father is drunk and clearly in no condition to drive, so she decides to take Alex herself as a way to make peace after their fight the night before. At Greenhouse Academy, we meet a student named Daniel, the captain of the school's basketball team. He's standing with his teammate Parker, who has managed to steal the exam questions from the school's main server. They plan to hand the questions over to a boy named Tyler so he can pass the test and join their team, which is missing just one player. After a while, Alex arrives at the school and is shocked by the huge number of students applying for the entrance exams. Then, he spots Daniel standing in the distance, so he rushes over to greet him and tells him that he's been following all of his games because he loves basketball and dreams of joining the team. But Daniel treats him with complete arrogance and refuses to even shake his hand. Hayley steps in proudly, challenging Daniel and accusing him of being afraid that her brother might actually be talented enough to take his place in no time. Daniel just laughs at her words without responding. The students are then divided into several tests, one of which is a written exam lasting 45 minutes. The supervisor announces that after this exam, the successful candidates will move on to a mandatory physical test, where only one will be chosen to join the Eagles sports team, while the rest will be assigned to the Ravens, who handle electronics. To make the written exam even harder, they bring in a student named Leo, the captain of the Ravens team, to play music during the test and distract everyone. While the supervisor is explaining the exam rules, an officer walks in with a student named Jackie, who is handcuffed. He leaves her there to take the test with the others before stepping out. Shortly after the exam begins, Tyler cheats using the answers he brought with him, quickly turns in his paper, and leaves. But the surprise is that he ends up with a very poor score, completely opposite to what he expected. At the same time, Luis, the school principal, is walking around the campus with his son Jason, making sure everything is going smoothly. They mention that Jackie grew up in an orphanage, and suddenly the bank funding it announced that it would be shut down due to heavy debts. Since Jackie was convinced they were con artists, she decided to break into the bank herself to find out the truth, which is why she was arrested and now faces prison time. But Louis, the school principal, was impressed by her sharp mind, and after many discussions, he managed to reach an agreement with the police. If Jackie could pass the entrance exams and earn her place at the school, they would release her. A little later, a student named Max turns in his paper. Max is extremely introverted but highly skilled in many fields like computers, history, and anything that requires memorization. It's revealed that he passed the test, but the school doesn't tell him right away because students aren't allowed to know their results yet. A few hours later, the names of the successful candidates are announced, and among them are Alex and Max. The time then comes for the physical test to determine who will join the Eagles sports team. Louis and his son Jason sit watching as the coach evaluates the students. Daniel learns from his friend Parker that Tyler failed the written test, even though he had all the answers with him. During the basketball trial, Alex impresses both Luis and the coach with his skills, and they seem ready to accept him. But Daniel, unhappy with the idea of Alex joining, insists otherwise. Determined to interfere, he asks the coach for permission to play against Alex to see for himself if Alex is really talented. In truth, Daniel only wants to provoke him and sabotage his chances. During the game, Daniel keeps bringing up Alex's mother, Ryan, trying to get under his skin. Alex loses his temper and lashes out, resulting in aggressive behavior that gets him rejected and expelled from the school. Hayley immediately storms over to confront Louis, accusing him of being a fraud who deliberately sent Daniel to provoke her brother so they would have an excuse to turn him down. After her outburst, she goes to comfort Alex. But to their surprise, Louis shows up, saying he's changed his mind and that Alex is accepted into the school after all. He also offers Hayley a place, explaining that he admires her boldness and wants to prove to her that the school isn't a scam. Although Hayley initially refuses because she doesn't like the school in the first place, she eventually agrees to try it for just 1 month. Her decision is driven by her desire to stay close to her younger brother and make sure she can look after him. Lewis explains that Hayley first has to pass the written exam, and if she succeeds, she'll join the Ravens team, while Alex will be placed with the Eagles. When the written exam begins, Hayley breezes through it thanks to her intelligence. Later, Leo, the captain of the Ravens, approaches Daniel, the captain of the Eagles, after finding out that they hacked into the Ravens system and stole the exam questions. Leo reveals that they switched the order of the questions at the last minute once they discovered what had happened. It's clear there's a strong rivalry between them, and they're constantly at odds. Afterward comes the official welcome ceremony for the new students. Louis tells them that this school specializes in training future leaders and has produced many famous figures across different fields. Each student is given a personal device designed exclusively for the Academy's students, created by Louis himself, which is why it's called the Louis device. That night, Hayley keeps trying to call her father to update him on everything, but as usual, he's asleep and drunk. Meanwhile, Alex is hanging out with his teammates in the Eagles' common room when he suddenly receives a message from Hayley, who just wants to check on him. His teammates notice the message and tease him, mocking the way Hayley treats him like a little kid. Sophie steps in to cheer him up, offering to take some photos of him to post on her blog. Alex agrees and lets her take the pictures. Later, Hayley tries to check in on her brother in person after sending him several unanswered messages, but Brooke, Lewis's daughter and a member of the Eagles, stops her, telling her that ravens aren't allowed in the Eagles' quarters. That same night, while Carter is asleep on the couch at home, a mysterious intruder sneaks in, goes straight to his laptop, and deletes photos and files. As soon as the stranger leaves, Carter wakes up, startled to see his laptop still on. Because Carter was once an FBI agent before being dismissed due to his decline in performance after his wife's death, he decides to call his friend Eric, who still works with the Bureau, to inspect the house and confirm whether someone had really broken in. The next day, Daniel talks with his friend Parker and says that Alex has a short temper and they should use that against him to get him expelled from the school as quickly as possible. Soon after, both teams get ready for their first challenge. Leo gathers his team and explains how important this challenge is, admitting how much he wants them to win since they've been losing for years. The challenge begins, and Louis announces that this year it's a riddle. The team that solves it and finds the first key will be the winner. The riddle says the key is located 10 steps from the beach, and Louis urges them to think outside the box. Most of the students run straight to the shoreline in front of the school, but Hayley takes Leo, her team captain, to the beach mural at the center of the campus. She reasons that the key must be there. Sure enough, she finds the key 10 steps from the mural. Strangely, she decides to give it to her brother so he can convince his team that he found it, helping him gain their trust and respect. But Alex refuses and walks away, leaving her behind. Unbeknownst to them, Sophie has seen everything and secretly takes photos of what happened. Thanks to Hayley's intelligence, her team wins the challenge, and Leo is clearly impressed with her cleverness. Meanwhile, Carter calls his FBI friend Eric to search the house and check whether someone really broke in the previous night. But Eric finds no signs of forced entry and advises Carter to refocus on his life, reminding him that he has already lost enough. He warns him to take care of the only precious thing he has left, his 2 kids. After the competition, Sophie tells her team what she saw, sparking an argument. They accuse Alex of being a traitor who cares more about his sister than about his team. Alex defends himself, insisting that Hayley was the one who found the key and deserved the credit, but they don't believe him, and their resentment grows even stronger. While the Ravens celebrate their victory, Max accidentally spills his drink on Jackie's bag. Embarrassed, he runs off before anyone notices. A short while later, Jackie discovers the mess on her bag and angrily yells, realizing that her notebook is ruined. Frustrated, she tosses it in the trash and storms off. Once she's gone, Max quietly retrieves the notebook from the garbage and rushes to the computer room. There, Max manages to copy all the pages and print them into a brand new notebook identical to Jackie's original one. Meanwhile, Kyle, the one who broke into Carter's house, meets with a woman named Judy and reassures her that he deleted all the messages and files between her and Ryan from the laptop. Later that night, after the Eagles finish their practice and return to their room, Daniel is shocked to find his mother, who turns out to be Judy, waiting for him. Judy is startled when she learns that Ryan's 2 children have both been accepted into the school. She immediately storms off to confront Jason, the academy's dean, who also doesn't want them there, but admits he couldn't overrule his father's decision. It becomes clear that Judy and Jason are hiding a major secret, and they decide they must drive Hayley and Alex out of the school before the truth comes out. The next day, after training, Daniel rushes to the locker room, and it's revealed that he's suffering from a serious leg injury. Still, he tells no one and simply takes painkillers from his locker before locking it up again. Just as he's about to leave, his girlfriend Brooke shows up, worried after noticing signs of exhaustion on his face. Daniel reassures her that he's fine and returns to practice. At breakfast, Max seizes the opportunity while the students are distracted to slip the newly restored notebook into Jackie's bag. A little while later, Jackie notices it and is shocked to see it back as if it were brand new. Confused, she wonders how it got there. Elsewhere, Hayley tries to approach her brother Alex to say hi, but he's still upset with her for causing him trouble during the competition and refuses to respond. Leo steps in, advising Hayley to give Alex some space and stop smothering him if she really wants to fix their relationship. At the FBI, the director visits Eric and tells him that a forest ranger has gone missing. The tracking chip from his taser shows it is currently located near Greenhouse Academy. The director adds that Carter's 2 children have recently enrolled at that school, so he assigns Eric to investigate the matter, and at the same time to check in on his friend Carter's kids. Meanwhile, Jackie deduces that Max is the one who restored her notebook. She barges into the computer room and demands to know how he did it. It becomes clear she's worried about something, and she insists that he delete the scanned images of her notebook from the computer to make sure he can't print them again. As soon as Jackie deletes the images, she feels relieved and heads back to her room. During this time, Hayley and Leo's relationship begins to grow. Whenever he finds her upset, he takes her to the music room to play and release her negative energy. That same day, the police arrive at the academy, and Jackie is terrified they might send her back to prison, so she sneaks around carefully to avoid being seen. Meanwhile, the Eagles team gathers and tells Alex they want to break into the Ravens' quarters to get revenge. Daniel explains that they can't do it unless they get hold of one of the Lewis devices, and he suggests Alex trick his sister Hayley by giving her a broken device and secretly taking hers without her noticing. After much hesitation, Alex finally agrees, hoping to earn their trust and be accepted by the team. At lunch, he approaches Hayley, pretending to apologize for how he treated her. She forgives him and hugs him, not realizing he's only doing this to steal her device. That night, Alex returns to his team with the stolen device, and Daniel hugs him proudly, telling him that by doing this, Alex has proven he truly cares about the team's interests and is now one of them. At the same time, Eric and his partner Perry search the academy for the missing taser. Luis grows anxious, worried that their presence might damage the school's reputation, so he refuses to let them question any students unless they find concrete evidence that the taser is inside. Eric continues inspecting the grounds until he finds a cut in the fence along the school's perimeter, the only area without surveillance cameras. He concludes that whoever did it knew exactly what they were doing and uses this as evidence to pressure Louis into letting him interview students. Meanwhile, the Eagles raid the Ravens' quarters for revenge, splattering the walls with colored paint and vandalizing the place. The Ravens wake up shocked by the scene and quickly realize the Eagles are behind it. While they're still discussing what happened, Eric and Luis arrive, with Eric deciding to question Jackie since her criminal record already makes her a suspect in the eyes of the police. But they don't find Jackie in her room. Eric greets Hayley and, in front of the students, explains that they're searching for a missing taser inside the school. He tells them that as soon as they see Jackie, they should send her to the principal's office. Later, the Ravens gather to discuss Jackie's situation. Max mentions that he saw drawings of weapons in her notebook, but Hayley defends her, arguing that this isn't proof she has the taser. While they're talking, Jackie shows up, having gone out early that morning to practice her favorite sport, surfing. The police begin questioning Jackie, bringing up her past offenses, including insulting an officer and breaking into a bank. They also reveal that fingerprints found on the cut section of the fence match hers. Jackie defends herself, saying she often passes through that spot because it's just a shortcut, nothing more. Eric suggests that she take a lie detector test or face immediate arrest. Knowing that no one will believe her anyway, Jackie decides she'd rather be sent to prison than go through with the test. As soon as Hayley learns what's happening, she steps in and accuses Eric of being reckless and determined to frame Jackie without investigating the other students, even though the taser could belong to any of them. Hayley volunteers to take the lie detector test herself to encourage Jackie to agree. Inspired by her courage, several other students volunteer as well. Not wanting his credibility questioned, Eric reluctantly agrees. The test begins with Hayley, and because all her answers are truthful, she's cleared quickly. Other volunteers follow. And finally, it's Jackie's turn. She denies knowing anything about the taser, and the polygraph confirms she's telling the truth. With that, Jackie is officially cleared of suspicion. During this time, Daniel goes out for a run, giving Brooke the chance to open his locker after noticing he's been hiding something. Inside, she finds the painkillers and wonders why he needs them. Curious, she follows him to figure out what's going on and spots him standing at the shore. To her shock, Daniel pulls the missing taser out of his pocket, tosses it into the ocean, and runs off. Brooke is stunned to realize he had it all along and doesn't know what to do. Meanwhile, Hayley notices that her Louis device isn't working and asks Leo for help. He suspects it's a fake, and from the system, he figures out that the Eagles used Hayley's real device during their raid. Hayley immediately realizes Alex must have stolen it, so she confronts him. But Alex refuses to admit his mistake and walks away, leaving her hurt and angry. Feeling betrayed, Hayley decides to leave the school and go back home. In the middle of the night, she sneaks out of her room and heads to the Eagles' quarters, intending to leave a letter for Alex. By coincidence, Louis passes by, sees her, and reassures her that it's normal to feel out of place at first. It happens to every new student. Still, Hayley insists on her decision, handing Louis the letter to give to Alex before leaving. The next day, Daniel surprises Brooke with lunch, inviting her to eat with him. She seizes the chance to ask what he was doing at the beach. Nervously, Daniel claims he was just trying to clear his head, refusing to tell her the truth. At the same time, Hayley arrives home to find her father Carter, who is busy investigating the people Ryan had been involved with in the final months of her life. Hayley grows upset, feeling he's still obsessed with her mother and neglecting them, to the point where he didn't even bother replying to her messages while she was at the academy. At that moment, Leo notices Hayley's absence and feels upset that she left without telling anyone. Meanwhile, the Eagles prepare for their basketball game against another school called Whitney, only to discover that their jerseys have been ruined, stained with strange colors. They immediately assume the Ravens did it to get revenge. Elsewhere, the Ravens gather with their teacher, who gives them a lesson on leadership. She asks each student to name a famous example of a strong leader. After the students share different answers, the teacher decides to use a cartoon character to illustrate her point, assigning homework for each of them. Identify one trait that made that character a true leader. Max realizes that Jackie doesn't know the movie, so he uses their computer lab to play it for her. Jackie is touched by his thoughtfulness and thanks him. The next day, Hayley grows frustrated with her father's behavior, arguing with him about the chaotic way he's been living and how he isn't paying attention to anything, not even asking why she came back home from the academy. Upset, she runs to her room. A short while later, Carter goes in to make peace, promising to try to get his life back on track. Before leaving, he mentions that one of her classmates has come to visit. Hayley is surprised to see it's Leo, who is worried after she suddenly left the academy. He tells her he came specifically to convince her to return, not only to be with her peers, but also to keep an eye on Alex, just like she wanted. Meanwhile, Brooke learns from her father that the police found the taser washed up on the beach after the waves pushed it ashore. She realizes it's the same taser she saw Daniel throw into the water, but says nothing to her father. When the Eagles' game against Whitney begins, Judy is thrilled with her son's performance on the court and proud that he's also the team captain. She's even happier that Hayley is finally gone. She tells Jason they now need to get rid of Alex as quickly as possible, too. While Judy and Jason are talking, the students overhear them discussing Hayley's return to the academy after Leo successfully convinced her. During the Eagles game, the coach notices that Daniel looks exhausted and decides to pull him out, putting Alex in his place. But Alex refuses to go in, hoping instead to earn Daniel's friendship and prove his loyalty. As a result, the coach is forced to let Daniel keep playing. Shortly afterward, the Eagles win the match thanks to Daniel's scoring. But the moment the game ends, he collapses on the court and loses consciousness. His mother rushes him to the hospital with Louis and Brooke by her side. The doctor explains that Daniel's leg was injured by an electric taser, and because the wound went untreated for days, it became infected and is now causing his weakness. He adds that he's required to notify the police about the injury. Judy leaves the room to check on her son, while Brooke panics, afraid Daniel will be arrested for hiding the taser. Desperate, she confesses everything she saw to her father, Louis. He gets angry at her for keeping the secret, warning that Daniel could now be seen by the police as the one responsible for the Rangers' disappearance. Judy realizes how much danger her son has put himself in. She tries to bribe the doctor, asking him to hand over the sample he took from Daniel's wound and end the matter there. To persuade him, she reminds him that she funded the construction of the Greenhouse Academy sports field and offers to fund his hospital as well. But the doctor refuses, saying the sample has already been sent to the lab to determine whether it came from the missing Ranger's taser. Terrified for her son, Judy decides she'll have to take matters into her own hands. Meanwhile, Max looks for someone to play chess with, but all of his classmates refuse. Despite being undefeated, he finally finds a challenger, Emma, who surprises everyone by beating him quickly. Impressed, Max admires her intelligence and begins to see her in a whole new light. At that moment, Daniel wakes up from his fainting spell and explains to Louis, Judy, and Brooke what really happened. He says that about 2 weeks earlier, he found the taser washed up on the beach. While examining it, he accidentally injured his leg. Then, when he saw people approaching, he panicked, afraid they would accuse him of stealing it. So, he hid it in his pocket and kept it until he could figure out how to get rid of it. But once he learned the police were searching for it, he became terrified of being blamed and finally threw it into the ocean. At the police station, Eric reports to his superior that Officer Perry was on his way to deliver Daniel's wound sample to the lab when something unexpected happened. The car suddenly began smoking, and as soon as Perry stepped out, it exploded, destroying the only piece of evidence they had. Furious, the chief scolds Eric and storms out, leaving him behind. Eric then calls Judy to reassure her that everything went according to their deal. It's revealed that Judy bribed both Eric and Perry to stage the incident and make it all look natural. A little later, Louis brings the news to Daniel and Judy pretends to be shocked by what happened. Daniel, on the other hand, is relieved that his life can return to normal. But Louis stuns him by saying that his actions regarding the taser showed poor judgment, so he has decided to strip him of his position as captain of the Eagles and make him a regular student again. A few days later, Daniel returns to the academy and reassures his friends that his mother will talk to Louis and convince him to restore his captaincy. But while they're still discussing it, Louis suddenly enters and announces that Daniel is no longer their leader and that the team must elect a new captain immediately. Daniel is deeply upset, realizing his mother failed to sway Louis. Shortly afterward, Alex comes up with an idea and suggests to Daniel that he persuade Parker to run for captain. Since Parker lacks real leadership qualities and doesn't know how to handle responsibility, he would be nothing more than a figurehead, allowing Daniel to remain the true leader and control Parker from behind the scenes. Daniel likes the plan and agrees. Although Parker is reluctant and afraid of the responsibility, he agrees to run as captain just to help Daniel with his problem. At the same time, Brooke begins to suspect that the police car explosion was orchestrated by Judy, since she overheard her asking the doctor for the sample. Brooke turns to Marcus, the school's maintenance man, whom she knows and trusts, and asks if it's possible for someone to rig a car to explode and erase all the evidence behind it. But Marcus, busy with several tasks, brushes her off and walks away without answering. Meanwhile, Leo starts avoiding Hayley after their relationship had grown closer, and she began to feel real affection for him. Hayley confronts him directly, asking why he's keeping his distance. She learns that he doesn't want a romantic relationship and prefers they remain just friends. Although the truth upsets her, she hides her feelings and pretends it doesn't matter. Later, Daniel announces that Parker has agreed to be their captain and seeks the team's approval. Everyone supports the decision, except Sophie, who argues that there should be another candidate so no one feels forced to choose Parker just because there's no alternative. Sophie then decides to nominate herself, and it's agreed that the two of them will face off in elections the following day. Shortly after, Marcus heads to a site near the academy, the same location where Ryan once discovered a meteor, which later became the site of a memorial in her honor. Hidden beneath it is a secret meeting place. When Marcus arrives, he finds Judy waiting for him. He assures her that he erased all the surveillance footage showing the police cars before the explosion, ensuring no one could investigate the cause. Their plan is to keep anyone from digging deeper into what really happened. The next day, Marcus learns from Louis that NASA has sent them 3 3 invitations to attend the launch ceremony for their new satellite, built specifically to honor Ryan's contributions to space exploration. Marcus rushes to inform Judy of the news, explaining that NASA designed the satellite to continue Ryan's secret mission, monitoring magnetic fields to predict earthquakes before they happen and warn the public. He adds that the satellite will orbit directly above their coordinates and will be able to expose anything they're doing. Marcus suggests postponing their operation so no one discovers them, but Judy refuses to delay anything. She orders him to find another solution, even if it means hacking NASA's security codes and tampering with the satellite remotely to sabotage it. Later, Judy meets with Jason and asks him to convince his father, Louis, to let him attend the satellite launch ceremony in his place. Jason is certain his father won't agree, but he promises her he'll try. Meanwhile, Parker and Sophie prepare for the Eagles' elections. Sophie uses the advantage of being the first girl to run for team captain, trying to inspire her classmates by promising she'll always act in their best interests. Parker, on the other hand, is extremely nervous and struggles to win people over. Out of desperation, he makes a bold move, revealing that when Sophie first applied to the academy, she wrote in her application that she wanted to join the Ravens. The students are shocked and disappointed in her, but Sophie manages to turn the situation around. She explains that at first she thought the Eagles only cared about sports, and that's why she didn't want to be part of them. But now she knows they're smart, capable, and can accomplish anything. The students are impressed by her honesty and cheer for her. At the same time, Jason approaches his father and tries to use the moment to his advantage, appealing for more responsibility and asking Louis to let him attend the ceremony as the academy's dean. But Louis insists his son is still too young and not ready for such responsibility, so he refuses. Elsewhere, Hayley and Alex reconcile, each apologizing for their mistakes. They sit together at Ryan's memorial site, which also happens to be the secret meeting place where Judy gathers with her men, though the siblings don't notice her presence. Alex talks about the ongoing elections and admits he regrets suggesting Parker's candidacy, believing he isn't capable of handling the role and will only bring problems. Hayley advises him to do what he thinks is right, no matter the consequences. Encouraged by her words, Alex goes to Daniel with a new plan. Convince Parker to withdraw from the race, since he's bound to lose anyway, and then publicly announce Sophie as the winner. That way, instead of remaining an enemy, they can bring Sophie onto their side. Daniel likes the idea and agrees, and Sophie is overjoyed to become the first girl to hold the position of captain. She promises the students that she'll fulfill all their requests. Meanwhile, Judy meets with Louis and talks at length about her relationship with her son Daniel, admitting she regrets not giving him more responsibility when he was younger to make him a stronger leader. She does all this as part of her plan to indirectly persuade Louis to let Jason attend the conference. Her strategy works, and Louis is convinced. That night, Jason takes the 2 extra tickets and tells Leo and Hayley that he has chosen them to join him at the conference. He stresses that his choice was very deliberate, not random. At the same time, Judy meets with Marcus and orders him to find a way to destroy the satellite, just as they sabotaged Ryan's satellite years earlier. Later, she and Jason also prepare their new plan together. Marcus instructs Jason that once he arrives at NASA, he must find a way to gain access to the central systems. After that, Marcus will hack the systems remotely and sabotage the satellite. On the day of the satellite launch, Jason arrives at NASA headquarters with Leo and Hayley. He soon slips away, pretending to go to the bathroom, but in reality sneaks toward a restricted area reserved for staff. He tries to force his way in, but a guard refuses him entry and escorts him out. Meanwhile, back at the academy, Max sits next to Emma in their common room, and Jackie encourages him to make a move and ask her out. With Jackie's support, Max gathers his courage and is surprised when Emma easily agrees. They arrange to meet during the satellite launch to watch it together. Hours later, the satellite is launched, and Alex and Hayley watch the sight, deeply moved and emotional, thinking about their mother and mourning her absence. Emma arrives late to her meeting with Max, apologizing and explaining that she was delayed against her will. Meanwhile, Leo comforts Hayley about her mother's death, using the moment to apologize for everything he'd done and agreeing with her to give their relationship another chance. At the same time, Brooke sits next to Alex to console him after noticing how emotional he is, and Daniel watches as she holds Alex's hand, sparking jealousy inside him. That night, NASA announces that they've lost contact with the satellite, and the station director vows to personally investigate until until the cause is found. Later, Jason meets with Judy and Marcus, and it's revealed that he recruited Emma to help him. He had given her a flash drive to exploit her tech skills, and once he reached the restricted area at NASA, Emma remotely hacked into their systems from her location and downloaded all of their files. She then returned the flash drive to Jason with the stolen data, which Marcus now plans to use in his mission to destroy the satellite. That evening, Jason is surprised when Emma shows up at his house. She demands to know what he did with the files, having seen the news about NASA losing contact with the satellite. Upset with herself, she confesses she thought she was doing something that would help people, nothing more. Jason shouts at her and threatens that if she says anything, she'll be expelled from the academy. The next day, the Eagles girls notice a terrible smell coming from the boys' bathroom. Sophie, using her authority as captain, orders them not to go to practice until the place is cleaned up. While tidying, Sophie hears a strange sound. After some searching, she discovers that the boys have been hiding a small rabbit. Parker admits they found it lost and decided to keep it. Sophie scolds him, reminding everyone that animals aren't allowed inside the dorms. As they're arguing, the coach walks in, demanding to know why they're late for practice. Sophie quickly hides the rabbit and covers for the team, telling him she forced them to clean their room. Once he leaves, Parker thanks her for not saying anything, and the team begins to respect her more. A little later, Sophie notices how attached they've become to the rabbit, so she cleverly suggests making it their team mascot. That way, they can keep it without anyone objecting. The students love the idea and thank her, and when she takes the proposal to Lewis, he agrees without hesitation. At that moment, Brooke sees Marcus sneaking out of the academy toward the beach through her window. Curious, she runs after him, but he's faster and slips into the hidden base before she can catch up. Brooke is shocked when he seems to vanish behind the rocks, and she keeps calling out his name, but he doesn't respond. Inside, Judy panics when she learns Brooke saw Marcus heading there, scolding him for his carelessness, reminding him she'd warned him repeatedly to make sure no one spotted him coming. After a while, Brooke, frustrated that no one answers her calls, returns to the academy. That night, Emma tries to call the NASA director to share the information she has, but Jason is watching her closely. He reminds her of his threat to have her expelled if she speaks, and Emma, remembering the sacrifices her family made to get her into the academy, keeps quiet. Meanwhile, Daniel notices Brooke acting strangely, and she finally confides in him, admitting she suspects his mother Judy had a role in the police car incident. She also tells him about Marcus's suspicious behavior. Daniel, however, refuses to believe anything negative about his mother and storms off. What neither of them realize is that Alex has overheard everything. Determined to uncover the truth, he teams up with Brooke. When they reach the rocks, they're stunned to find a man standing there. Brooke recognizes him immediately as the forest ranger who had gone missing, but the man seems dazed and aggressive, trying to attack her. Alex steps in to defend her, fighting back to subdue him. Inside the secret base, Judy and Marcus discuss the situation. Marcus explains that he gave the ranger a chemical formula that erased his memory of the past few days, including the discovery of their hidden base. That way, even if the police found him, he wouldn't be able to reveal anything. Alex eventually manages to restrain the ranger, and they call the police. Eric arrives to take the man into custody and reveals that the hospital's report shows the ranger suffered a stroke, which caused his memory loss and left him unable to return home. Back at the academy, Louis angrily scolds his daughter Brooke for putting herself in danger and not even thinking to tell him what she'd discovered. The next day brings the Harvest Festival, a major competition between the two teams. Louis announces the details. Each team must sell as many sweets as possible, and for every piece sold, a donor will contribute $1,000. At the end, the money will be turned into scholarships for underprivileged students. The team that raises the most funds will win a valuable prize, while the losing team will be responsible for cleaning up the venue after the festival. Excited by the challenge, both teams begin planning. Hayley suggests they avoid setting a fixed price for each piece of candy and instead tell people that all proceeds go to charity. That way, people will sympathize and pay more than the actual value. Sophie, on the other hand, proposes marketing the sweets as healthy snacks. Since healthy food usually costs more, they can set a higher price without upsetting anyone. When the results are announced, Lewis reveals that the Eagles win, but only by a very slim margin. He then introduces the second challenge. Each team must design their own unique uniform and present it in a fashion show. To raise the stakes, the mysterious donor promises to double the amount of scholarships raised if the students successfully complete this challenge. The students rise to the occasion, putting on a creative performance and fulfilling all the requirements perfectly. Meanwhile, Eric is surprised to learn that Carter has returned to work. Carter explains that he took his daughter's advice and decided to go back to his old life. Eric notices Carter carrying a letter, and Carter admits that Ryan left it for him before her space mission, telling him to open it only if she didn't return. Ever since her death, he has kept it, but has been too afraid to read it. Later, after finishing his work, Carter finally decides to open the letter. In it, Ryan reveals a shocking secret. Her space mission was a cover-up to hide the real research she was involved in. She explains that she discovered a method to predict earthquakes before they happen, potentially saving countless lives. But the same technology, if misused, could actually cause earthquakes. For this reason, the project remained highly classified. In her letter, Ryan writes that she suspects her friend Judy, but has no evidence against her, which is why she couldn't report anything. As soon as Eric reads this, he burns the letter before anyone else can see it. Sometime later, Halloween arrives. While both teams prepare for the celebration, Max feels down because he had asked Emma to go with him, but she showed no interest. Seizing the chance, he asks Jackie instead, and after much persistence, Jackie finally agrees to accompany him. Around the same time, Hayley calls her father and asks him to bring dresses, one for her and one for Jackie for the party. Meanwhile, Daniel notices once again that Brooke is laughing with Alex, and jealousy flares up inside him. He walks over to join them, but Sophie sees what's happening and offers Alex to be her date for the party, hoping to prevent any drama with Daniel. Parker, on the other hand, decides to take the risk and asks Sophie to be his date. Nervous that she might turn him down, he approaches her, but Sophie apologizes and explains that Alex asked her first, and she couldn't refuse him. Because of all this, Daniel and Parker start to suspect that Alex is intentionally provoking them, trying to steal both Sophie and Brooke to create conflict. That night, the party begins. Max dances happily with Jackie until Emma shows up. Excited, he abandons Jackie on the spot to dance with Emma instead, leaving Jackie standing alone. Meanwhile, Jason, who has been monitoring Emma's phone, discovers that she contacted Thomas, the NASA director, asking him to call her back as soon as possible so she could share what she knows. During the party, Leo surprises everyone by performing a brand new song he wrote especially for Hayley. She's overjoyed, and all the students dance to it. But just as he finishes, Leo is stunned when Aspen, his ex-girlfriend, walks in and kisses him in front of everyone. She then introduces herself, telling the crowd that she's been Leo's neighbor since childhood and that they've loved each other for years. Crushed by the scene, Hayley runs out in tears, and Alex follows her to comfort his sister. As they sit talking, Alex spots Judy heading toward the rocks near their mother's memorial, but he stays focused on his sister and doesn't pay attention to what Judy is doing. After a while, they return to the party. Hours later, Sophie announces that Max and Emma have won the award for Best Dancers. As they accept their prize, Emma is suddenly approached by Jason, who tells her to meet him in his office. There, he plays back her call with Thomas to prove he knows about it. He then tells her he already spoke with Thomas and convinced him that her call was nothing more than a gesture of comfort. Jason warns Emma that if she tries contacting the police again, he'll deny everything. And, of course, the authorities will believe the dean over a teenage girl. He forces her to leave the academy, deciding they'll lie to the students and say Emma's mother suddenly fell ill, forcing her to return home. Despite her reluctance, Emma packs her things and leaves without telling anyone. Back at the party, Brooke keeps begging Daniel to dance with her, but when he refuses, she goes off to dance with Alex instead. Daniel, jealous and frustrated, argues with her in front of everyone, and they break up on the spot. The fight escalates into a brawl between the teams, with food being thrown everywhere, ruining the event. The next day, the students learn that Emma left school, and Max is crushed that she didn't even say goodbye. He retreats back into his loneliness. While cleaning up after the ruined party, Aspen seizes the moment and tells Leo she'll be joining the academy, taking Emma's place. This way, she says, they'll be close again like before, and she'll get to see him all the time. Though Leo now loves Hayley and wants to be with her, he can't bring himself to confess the truth to Aspen, so he pretends to be happy. Meanwhile, Alex comforts Brooke after her breakup with Daniel. He tells her he saw Judy near the memorial the previous night. Brooke is shocked. This is the same place she saw Marcus heading toward, and also the spot where they found the missing ranger. She becomes convinced Judy is hiding something major, though she doesn't yet know what. Brooke considers telling her father, but knowing how much he trusts Judy, she's certain he won't believe her. Alex refuses to tell his father either, worried about disrupting his life now that he's just returned to work. Instead, Alex decides to call Eric, his father's friend, and explain everything. Eric asks if anyone else knows what happened, but Brooke assures him only the two of them saw it. Eric then insists Brooke must come to the station to give her statement, and she agrees without hesitation. At the same time, Marcus receives a message from Judy telling him to prepare, since Brooke has learned too much and they've decided to deal with her their own way by luring her to their secret base. Marcus begins setting up the place, and then the shocking truth is revealed. Ryan is still alive, hidden inside a locked room in the base so that no one will ever know. And with that, the first season ends.